Hi everybody, welcome back to Get Stuck In. Loads to look back on with the Dublin Racing Festival in the company of Martin Dixon, Dan Barber. First takeout from the 2 days of Leopardstown?
On the plus side for me, definitely Ballyburn. I thought it's a race with a rich history. Apart from Sam Crow, Mullins has won it, I think, for the last 13 renewals. He's often targeted his best novice at it. That's included brilliant horses like Vautour, who used it as a stepping stone to the Supreme Novices, and I envisage Ballyburn, who just looks so uncomplicated, agile, big engine on him. I think he'll be heading to the first day of the Cheltenham Festival, and I suspect he's going to take an awful lot of beating. He just looks rock solid.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I'll focus on a couple of negatives and horses that are still very much in ante-post lists and towards the top of the markets for respective races at the Cheltenham Festival. Marine National's still favourite for the Arkle. I think that's wrong. He'd had a wind operation. He was disappointing. I think there's going to go massive risks attached to him, and I can only see him going one way in the betting. I think everyone will be looking to get against him over the next 5 or 6 weeks before Cheltenham, and I can see plenty of others, maybe Founder 50 in particular, shortening up in relation to the Arkle. And Gaelic Warrior would be the other one. I know it's obvious, but I'd almost be a little bit surprised if he even ended up going there, to be honest. He looked so uncomfortable from a very early stage going left-handed, and it had been sort of pointed out as a problem previously, but I think they might be tempted to just go straight to Punchestown with him and sort of think, look, this isn't going to happen for him over fences going left-handed.
Is Marine even going to run?
Well, I don't know again, but you know, if Gaelic Warrior does turn up at Cheltenham, you'd have to be strongly against him. I think I thought he was. Townend was going wide, sort of not allowing him much room to go out that way, but he was still sort of adjusting right from quite an early stage. He made the bad mistake 4 out that obviously did for him, but I didn't think he was happy with him from quite an early stage. And as I say, if he ends up at Cheltenham, I'd have to be against him. One
more quick one, if I may. I'll do a quick plus and a minus. We always think of it for the graded races, 8 Grade 1s, all won by Mullins, but the way Hartwood won that handicap chase was so eye-popping. It was reminiscent of a Plutard winning the novice chase, handicap chase back in the day. I think he'd be top of the shortlist already in the play. One thing I was saying, I'm a bit disappointed that Imperi Pass has decided that the Champion Hurdle isn't for him, based on 2 runs. One where he got within 3 lengths of the second favourite after having a hard race behind Shupu in the Hatton's Grace, and the other where, have you ever seen a horse hate front running more than he did? Every second of it he didn't like. He was jumping right, didn't go yard. But it seems he's now skipping it, which is just a shame, because that Champion Hurdle could end up with possibly the smallest field in the race's history.
A lot of the trainers stayed around, the UK trainers who went over even for a jolly to Tattersalls on Monday for the Caldwell Dispersal horses. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think perversely Caldwell Potter could be a good value purchase. If you think about what people are trying to buy when they're spending 6 figures on bloodstock, you see lots of horses straight out of point to points. They win their point to point. They cost 300, 400,000. You're getting a ready-made Grade 1 horse that's won a Grade 1 on its most recent start. He has potential to improve, certainly in my mind, when he goes up in distance. And he's got a real long-term future, and he's already run a Grade 1. So you're kind of buying the ready-made product for 740. Yes, it's a lot of money, but the people buying him have got a lot of money. Yeah. And that is what they're aiming to buy. So I actually think that, yes, it's a lot of money, but I think he's value, his full value for that price tag, really, in today's market.
Does it seem significant that it was Gordon was the underbidder as well? He was obviously key.
Well, you would be, back, didn't he? Yeah, you would be, wouldn't you, if you've won a Grade 1 novice hurdle with a horse like that? And like I say, I think for me, that it won't depend on his success in the next 2 months whether he's a good buy or not. He's much more of a.
I agree, but the people who are buying him, they've got millions and billions. It's fine. It's
absolutely
dropping the ocean.
And look, we're regularly seeing horses on the flat yearlings making over $1 million. And you sometimes don't see them. Sometimes they ended up rated 65. You know, he is a ready-made Grade 1 horse that can go to all the big meetings, and beyond that, he's got a real future to develop. It might not happen. Time will tell, but that's always the risk when you go to buy a horse at the sales. But I think actually, although it's a big sum, he's worth it.
Takes Sir Alex's mind off the football anyway, won't it?
Right, what's your thoughts on the Dublin Racing Festival? Do drop us, do get in touch all the usual ways. As talking about Dublin Racing Festival, let's catch up. Dave Ord was lucky enough to speak to Patrick Mullins.
Well, delighted to be joined by Patrick Mullins again. And Patrick, they're just settling now on another fantastic Dublin Racing Festival for the team. What are you taking away as your highlights?
Well, sure, look, obviously the top horses staying on top. El Fabiolo galloping the Champs, getting the better of Faster Slow finally, and he was fantastic. But I think maybe, you know, the one that was particularly pleasing was Ballyburn over 2 miles in what looked a very competitive race. Obviously, Gordon's horse Far and Glory didn't turn up, but for him to show that he can do it over 2 miles against top class horses, that was very satisfying.
The great game doesn't stand still. 3 entries in the Betfair Hurdle at Newbury on Saturday. Ocastle Des Mottes, a French import. We don't know much about him. What can you help fill in the gaps with?
Yeah, look, we've had him since the start of the season. He has plenty of training done. He's obviously coming with a handicap mark, a little bit like Gaelic Warrior, a French handicap mark. So I think he's got a reasonable weight. I think it's a mark that's very workable. And we're going to take our chance at a big prize like it's fantastic money at the Betfair Hurdle. We'll probably also send Only a Matter of Time and Albany, all being well. They're going to get in down the bottom of the weights, and for that money, they'll take their chance. But Ocastle Des Mottes is obviously they're going to be the number one. But both the other horses are far from no hopers.
And just on Only Matter of Time, he got round at Kempton last time. Ascot last time. He ran out the previous 2 times. Were you more relieved than anything to see him complete at Ascot?
Yeah, look, I'm not. The first day I think he was coming wide, challenged the last, and he ducked out. And we did take a chance in the Great Wood, going down the inside. But we thought with a lead in the middle of the pack he'd be fine. He didn't. He called our bluff. So we'll just ride him with that in mind. I don't see it being an issue, and I think the experience he gained at Ascot will really stand to him here.
Good stuff from Patrick Mullins. Right, it's time for us to go around the yards. Not many trainers going better at the minute than Ben Pauling. Ben, thanks for taking your time out to talk about a busy week, and what a week you've just had already. But Tellherthename, he's got a big chance in the Betfair Hurdle according to the market.
Yeah, no, he's in very good order with himself at home. Harry Cobden is booked to ride at this moment in time. He came in and gave him a school this morning, was very happy with him. So it's all systems go at this present moment in time, just hoping the ground doesn't get too bad. And
he's lightly raced. He won a point. Have you denied in this race for a while?
Yeah, it's a race that I was taught by Nicky.
Yeah,
and he's used it for various of his better novice hurdlers as a prep for the festival. So I'm very keen to run if we can, and he is unexposed. The only blot in his copybook would be the Aintree race, but that was desperate ground, and I will hang my hat on. That's the reason why we ran him relatively quickly after that back at Huntingdon, and when he's been right and able to handle conditions, he's looked to do it all very easy.
Yeah, with that in mind, the forecast, there could be a fair bit of rain around.
Yeah, it all depends on how much they get.
Yeah,
that ground at Aintree that day was very gluey, deep, tacky ground, and hopefully it won't be that at Newbury. So I'd say we'll almost certainly declare and see what the weather brings. But I'm conscious that it's a very valuable race. He's in very good order, and it comes at the perfect time for his preparation for March. But I'm also very aware that I don't really want to give him too hard a race, so that we're left, a little bit flat for Cheltenham.
And look at them entries at Cheltenham. You clearly think he's a proper horse. He just could be very well treated.
Yes, I think that's exactly it. He's a horse. He's got everything in my eyes.
Right.
He's sensible head on him. He's got loads of class, plenty of speed, and I think he could be one of the. I think he's pretty much as good as we've ever had. So hopefully he can feed some of the better novices in the spring.
Strong words. A quick line, we spoke recently, but Diva Luna market raising on Tuesday in listed company. She looked very smart. 6 Mile Bridge at Sandown last weekend. Your sort of depth of quality in your stable, it's going north, isn't it? It's going the right way.
Yeah, very much so. We were delighted with Diva Luna yesterday. She, Brian was very complimentary about her. He got off and said she really got going, and she did it nicely. So we're really pleased with her. And then 6 Mile Bridge on Saturday again, very smooth, travelled beautifully, handled the conditions well, and put the race to bed in quite good fashion. So hopefully he's one to look forward to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, long may it continue the fine run of form. It's great to see some quality horses going into your yard, and you're certainly doing the right job with them. And we wish you all the best, not just for Saturday, for the rest of the season. Thanks for taking your time out.
Perfect. Thanks, Niall.
Right, delighted to be joined now by Johnny Burke. Jockey's enjoying another fine season and could have a big weekend at Newbury. Boothill, start with him. Johnny, he's a horse that obviously fell in the Desert Orchid last time out, but he's done you a few good turns already.
He has indeed. It was a very uncharacteristic fall. It's usually one thing you can rely on is his jumping. He just stood off too far, and I think he was in as much shock as everyone else. One of those things. I felt I was still going quite well. So looking forward to him on Saturday. I think Newbury's a track will probably suit him. Plenty jumping there usually plays to his strengths. He can be quite keen, so the faster they go, the better.
Loads of rain around. Will that bother you or not really?
It would be a slight concern. Definitely his best form is on the better side of good to soft and good ground. So if they did get the worst end of the forecasts, it could be a thing that he might not even run. So I'd imagine he'd be declared and everything. But if it did get very testing, it could be a race that he might end up swerving. He does struggle with his wind a bit when the ground does get testing. So it would be the right thing to do if it did end up testing.
Eder de Geet being in there, I suppose, might make it a little bit easier for you because he jumps and runs and give you a chance to relax your horse.
Yeah, in terms of setup of a race like at that level, those races suit him, and that's what in Kempton I was quite happy because they were after going fast. So as I said, at that level, the race is set up perfect for him to be coming late. So yeah, look, if it did run, it'd be lovely, and like I kind of be all from taking his chance in the champion chase too if that did work out for him, because again they'll all go fast, and it could be a thing that he could pick up pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a good shout. Betfair Hurdle, you good ride as well, Altobelli.
Yeah, looking forward to him. On the flip side, every bit of rain that falls will help his chances. He ran a good race the last day in Ascot. The ground probably wasn't soft enough for him, so going there with two good chances. One wants good ground and one wants soft. But he's been knocking on the door. He's put two good runs back to back, and if the ground does end up testing, he should have a massive chance.
Harry Fry's going well, obviously, at Gidley Park. What a horse, exciting. Any thoughts ahead of Cheltenham, what race he might go to?
I'd imagine he'll stay at the middle trip to Bingham, I imagine it's called. He's a big horse. He's still a big raw horse. I don't think he needs to be running in an Albert Bartlett, and if for whatever reason it didn't work in the Albert Bartlett, I find it a very grueling race. So he's what looks to be a horse for the future. I think whatever he's doing over hurdles seems to be a bonus. As you saw in Cheltenham, he's massive. Like, so I think he's done very well to win so far. So as if he takes in Cheltenham, he might swerve it and go to entry too. So that'll be a decision made closer to time.
Good stuff. Exciting times. Lots of good horses. You're having a good season. Long may it continue. Thanks for taking your time out, Johnny. We'll speak to you soon.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thanks, Niall.
Right, let's catch up with Daryl Jacob. Daryl, once again, like he has been all season, busy over both sides of the RSC. You're over at the Dublin Racing Festival and you knocked on the door.
Yeah, I kept knocking on the door, but unfortunately the door didn't quite open enough for us. But look, we're happy enough with the horses. We learned a lot more about the horses, and as you know, Niall, yourself, these are young horses, and you need to learn a lot more about them, and I think that was definitely the case at the Dublin Racing Festival.
James de Burley ran well in the big deep handicap.
I was delighted with him, actually. We got a really good position down at the start, and he travelled and jumped great for me the whole way, Niall. And I thought turning in 2 out, I thought we had a real good chance. I got a great jump at the second last, and I just looked to my outside, and Rachel was going very, very well on her horse, and I think her horse was well thrown in at the end. But to be fair to my horse, he galloped the whole way to the line, and I think he'd be a little bit better with a bit better ground, and in the springtime he generally comes alive in the springtime. So hopefully with a bit of luck, I'd love to see him over the national fences is it the Topham on the Grand National meeting on the Friday. I'd love to see him in there. So hopefully with a bit of luck, we might get a chance to have a spin on him in that race.
Into Lotto, again a tight race, ran well.
Very, very, very good race. Look, he obviously won that maiden hurdle, 3-year-old maiden hurdle there, the last meeting there, and he was very, very good that day. There was the race on Saturday was a lot more stronger in terms of quality and stuff like that. So we kind of needed to know where we were with him. And I thought he ran a really, really good race. I thought he ran to sort of the form of what he showed when he won. Just unfortunately, he just wasn't quite good enough on the day, and probably quality-wise, he's probably just not as good as them real Grade 1 horses.
And Perry Pass, we know he is a Grade 1 horse. We know that from last season. It looked, I could see what you'd done down at the start, and I'm sure you're really excited to do that, but he didn't really want to play ball. He looked like he was just wanting to lead.
Yeah, again, it's like I said to you earlier on, they're young horses and we're trying to learn about them all the time. But unfortunately, tactics that day. I mean, when I rode against Stateman the last time, we took a lead off Stateman and Stateman quickened, and we couldn't quicken with him. What we wanted to do is we wanted to try something different, because it didn't, we knew Stateman, if he got an easy lead in front, he would go steady, and he would
do it in his terms.
He was quick and biased, and we wouldn't be able to get him. So the obvious thing was to try something different, Niall. Because we knew we didn't have the gears that he had, so we tried something different. And knowing our lad had stayed 2.5 really, really well at Cheltenham, we thought we'd try and make it, try something different. Unfortunately, that didn't work. The horse didn't really want to be in front. He wanted a lead. We didn't. We went an even sort of a gallop at 30-31 all the way, but it wasn't I kind of wanted to apply a little bit more pressure with him all the way, but unfortunately that didn't happen, and he was jumping out to the right at quite a few of his hurdles, and he was leading on the wrong leg, so it didn't work. It didn't work, unfortunately, but at the same time we've learned something valuable. We've learned a valuable lesson that day, and he's come home, he's safe, he's sound, he's picked up a nice bit of prize money too, and he has been scratching out for him champion hurdle. Unfortunately, look, he's just not quite quick enough, Niall, to be a champion hurdle horse. So there's other options now for him, and there's plenty of targets now we can possibly aim at now for the rest of the season. Now we know exactly where we are.
Aintree 2.5, would that be the one that you'd like?
That'd be the one that I'd love to go and have a stab at. Obviously he won at Cheltenham over 2.5, wasn't it? What was that? Is that the Ballymore?
Yeah.
These names all changed. Yeah, the Ballymore. So he won that, and he looked very, very impressive that day, didn't he, Niall? So I would imagine that's the obvious step for him to take, or the obvious route for him to go now.
Back over this side of the Irish Sea, you've got an interesting ride at the weekend at Warwick. Tell us more.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to riding Matata again. I actually thought he ran really well the last day down at Linkfield. I know Colin Tizard's horse is a very, very good horse. He was favoured for the Betfair Hurdle not so long ago, and I thought he looked very, very well. And he won like a really, really nice horse, beating me really nicely. We went to nice even fractions. We obviously had the hood off Matata for the first time, so it was a bit more of a learning curve about him and how he would handle not having a hood on him. And I thought he handled himself very, very well. I actually felt like a career best so far this year over fencing with him. So I definitely think he's on the upward curve, and knowing that we can ride him now without a hood, and the way he battled at Linkfield, that impressed me as well. So I'm very much looking forward to riding him on Saturday.
Good stuff. I hope he wins for you Saturday. Thanks for taking your time out and going through all the rides at Leopardstown. Wish you to stay well, go well, and keep putting in winners. Good to catch up, Daryl. Right, it's now time festival focus. This probably won't take long. Champion Hurdle. How many runners? 3, 4, 5?
Run a guide.
I think
in 5 minutes.
I think 4 or 5 is very likely.
It's grim, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? But look, it's not a big surprise. It's the way that things have been going. And if you look at Christmas Hurdle, 4 or 5 runners, the 2 Grade 1s in Ireland, Stateman's one, have both been 4-runner races. So we are used to seeing it now in the Grade 1s through the season. Admittedly, you'd usually sort of prefer or think that you might get more coming together in a Champion Hurdle, but such is the dominance of Stateman in Ireland and Constitution Hill in Britain that people are scared off, which is a shame. And
not so sleepy will run, Stateman will run, Constitution Hill run. If they get there, 5.5 weeks' time.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people putting up thieving each way bets ante-post, which is all well and good. There's a couple of bookmakers ducking out of that already, offering 2 places, which isn't a massive surprise. But if you are so inclined to try and thieve a little bit, then Not So Sleepy will at least run, and I think he's about 20-25 to 1, isn't he? So each way
director
will be...
Dave spoke to Kerry Lee earlier, and she was very much sitting on a big fence, like, will he run, will he not run?
The me and line.
The me and line.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he ran, I could see him running a good race, but you'd be blowing his handicap mark out the water and things like that, so they'll have it all to weigh up. He's in the Stayers Hurdle as well, isn't he, Nimmy and Lion, so that's an option.
It's the current climate, isn't it? And there is these two sort of behemoths, even like I said earlier, Imperial Past the stablemate, who in an ordinary year would be a proper contender for a champion hurdle. He's not going to go because he's got a stablemate who's better than him, and Constitution Hill towers above them. But it's an overall shift, isn't it? I remember in I'm sure you're the same, early days of getting into racing, double figure fields.
Well, Granville again taking on Morley Stick with Beach Road, Crebences. There was like 4 or 5 previous champion hurdle winners with there's 17, 18 runners.
Isterbrack's first was the first one I recall, and you had the horses like Shadow Leader in his wake, and proper horses in a big field. I saw an article actually that was discussing this, and I'd written an article about it a while ago as well, about you just don't get these good flat horses anymore that are going to be 2 mile hurdlers. That's why Burdett Road has been so refreshing. It's been so good to see him. So it's definite downturn, and it is obviously it's a concern, but it's just not going to be a spectacle, is it? I mean, I insist to this day that the most boring race I've ever seen at Cheltenham was Statler winning that National Hunt Chase. Genuinely nothing happened apart from Statler led at the last, and that was it. And there's a fear, obviously, that we're cat and mouse tactical, and it'll leave people wanting more.
Okay, well, rather than comment, tell us how we fix it. Do get in touch. Right, it's time for the trackers. The lads have put up 2 horses each, hopefully to keep on the right side of. Martin, start with you.
Yeah, 2 from Sandown on the weekend. And Nickelback to start with. Now, I know he's won a Grade 1, so it might be obvious to some people, but I think this horse has been underrated. I think he's very, very good. And a horse that I think can make his mark in open company into next season and win a big novice again come the spring, to showcase his jumping and his speed the way that he did at Sandown at the weekend, and have good horses in trouble as far out as he did. I thought it was a really big performance from him, and one of the best performances from a 2.5 mile novice I think there's been all season either side of the Irish Sea, so I thought that was really impressive. And in the bumper that ended the card at Sandown, Juby Ball finished runner-up to a good winner of Ben Paulings, but really liked him in the paddock. He's a big, raw, sort of unfurnished looking horse physically, but he still was able to run to a very high level to finish second in the bumper at Sandown. He's a half-brother to 50 Ball, who rated mid-130s at his best for Gary Moore, and I think this horse has the potential to be better than that.
Good stuff. Right, 2 from Sandown, down.
Mine are both DRF. One, who we already mentioned, Hartwood. I just thought it was eye-popping, and he's got the plate written all over him for Henry and Rachel. And then in the battalions that Willie ran in the race won by stablemate Ballyburn, I thought Jeet Lange really caught the eye for JP with a view probably not to one of the top novice races, but maybe getting him in a Martin Pipe or a Coral Cup. I thought he shaped really well from further back than the principals, still completely unexposed. He'd be top of my shortlist of the also runs from the Ballyburn race, whereas clearly top of the list for anything in that race is Ballyburn himself.
Okay, there's 4 horses to keep a close eye on in the coming weeks. What's the horses that we should keep a close eye on? Do drop us a comment. Okay, something for the weekend. Some winners, hopefully, for the weekend. Who wants to go first?
Can't resist a crack at the Betfair. It's been a mustard race down the years. I was all ears when Ben Pauling was talking earlier. Hope he declares and takes a chance with Tellherthename, because this is a seriously fast horse who's got some seriously good novice form. Pushed Django Bay all the way at Ascot. And you look back to what he did to that lucky place of Henderson's, albeit on his hurdling debut. He's pushed Gidley Park at Cheltenham since, and he beat him 14 lengths. Really fast horse, put him up on the tracker from how he finished his race at Huntingdon, so he'd be top of my Betfair shortlist. And in the any other business category, the one that struck me as being completely overpriced was Kintara, who's in that Stayers Handicap hurdle on Saturday as well. He's 14 to 1-ish at the moment. He should have won at Warwick. He got disorganised at the last. He was picked off by Geoffroy, who's a veteran, but he's having sort of a resurgence of late. And he's got that earlier strong form with the likes of Gay Legacy, who's come out and won a big handicap at Newbury since, so 14s each way would definitely do for me.
Okay.
I think the key point about Newbury, they're due 25 mils of rain on Thursday and Friday, so the ground is likely to get very testing there. That could change the shape of the Betfair Hurdle in particular quite significantly. Last couple of years we've had 16 and 14 runners in the Betfair Hurdle. 26 entered this time around, but if that rain comes and it really is a deluge, it could end up being, you could get some declaring on Thursday that end up being withdrawn. It might end up only being 13, 14 runners, that sort of mark. I think Iberico Lord is a horse that will be very well suited by the very soft ground. It was really soft when he won the Greatwood. Look at the way that form has worked out. There's any number of subsequent winners in behind him. He beat a load of well handicapped horses really impressively. I find it hard to believe he's not still well handicapped, and the ground just got a bit too quick for him at Ascot, which it'll be the reverse at Newbury at the weekend. So I think Iberico Lord could be quite hard to beat actually in the Betfair Hurdle based on his Greatwood form, and I would be backing him now because, as I say, I think there's a good chance that the race cuts up a fair bit,
and he'll definitely run,
and he'll definitely run, I'd say. So I do like his chance. I thought Edward Stone would be the one to beat in the game spirit. Editor de Gite is likely to run. He's had a couple of hard races, to be honest, and but he will set the target for Edward Stone to chase down, and I think back at 2 miles, if he settles better, Edward Stone, which you'd imagine he would at a faster pace, I still believe he's got the capabilities of winning a Grade 2 like that.
And listen to Johnny Burke with Boothill, if all that rain does come, he's a slight wind problem, would he line up?
Yeah, it would be a concern for him. So I think Edward Stone, although he's had a disappointing season in a way for a horse that achieved what he did last season, I could see conditions being perfect for him at the weekend.
Okay, there we go. There's your winners. 2 winners, 1 winner, 3 winners between you.
Well, maybe we'll have a dead heat in the Betfair. That'll be from something. Share the spoils.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, fingers crossed. We'll see what the ground goes. The way at Newbury is, as Martin said, 25 mils forecast Thursday into Friday. So it's going to be very testing conditions. But we're looking forward to it. Nonetheless, we'll be back next week. We'll see you then. Bye bye.